Hi everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here to help us celebrate the pillars of our organization. Congratulations to all of the inductees tonight. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, my name is Caitlin Armstrong. For the sake of brevity, I will be speaking on behalf of myself and my mother. I am a proud alum of this drum corps, but my purpose here tonight is to introduce my dad, Alan. While his name can elicit a wide array of responses across the history of our drum corps, I would like to share some insight on what his time with this organization has looked like from my viewpoint. Admittedly, I missed out on the first 8 years, but don't worry, I have heard plenty of stories from all sorts of people to have a pretty detailed understanding. 42 years ago, my dad was a scrawny, long-haired trumpet player who had to be talked into even showing up to audition for Spirit by his band director. I am eternally grateful for that push, because without it, he wouldn't have met that cute little redhead from Texas a couple years later who would eventually marry him and give birth to me and my siblings. I suppose the next logical step in a Hall of Fame introduction speech would be to tell you about his accolades and the work he's done in the years since that first audition camp. But truthfully, I can't do that because I don't know them all. He's just my dad. What I can tell you is that those years were transformative in his life and led him to be the man I know today. He is full of more integrity, passion, and determination, and a few other things, than any other person I've ever met, and I'm so proud to call him my father. That would not be true if it weren't for the Spirit of Atlanta. I don't have any memories of going on tour as a baby, but I hear about it all the time. But I can vividly recall my mother hanging up paper chains we would make together when I was a little girl, counting the days until he came back home to us. I remember driving over to this very campus to stand in the food line with a serving spoon in my hand, likely getting in the way more than anything else, but feeling so proud that I was helping the organization that my parents held near and dear to their heart. Drum Corps, and specifically Spirit of Atlanta, was a way of life for our family. While Alan is the one being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, his contributions to this organization would never have happened without my mom. Selling suvies, sewing flags and uniforms, being a second mom to so many, staying home wrangling all 4 of us children while he went on tour. She did it all. His old man tendencies may drive her crazy these days, but their love for each other and this drum corps has changed my life as well as so many others. So thank you, Mama. As with all things in life, there have been highs and lows with this drum corps, but through it all, my dad's love for this organization has never wavered. Though his role with the Corps has shifted many times over the years, there was never a question in my mind or anyone else close to him that his blood really does run baby blue. I never fully understood his deep devotion to the Corps and even resented it for a period of time, hating the activity that took him away from our family so frequently. Then I caught the drum corps bug, marched my first summer, and it all made sense. Year after year, the conversations about Spirit in our household have always led back to 2 shared desires: to see the organization thrive and for the future members to have the best experience possible. His return to the educational team in 2023 healed a part of my heart, and I can only assume it did his as well. Daddy, your passion for and devotion to Spirit of Atlanta is an inspiration to so many of us, and our family could not be more proud to call you ours. We're so grateful that the Hall of Fame committee has chosen to recognize what we've seen for so long. Ladies and gentlemen, I am incredibly honored to present to you my dad and Spirit of Atlanta Hall of Fame inductee, Alan Armstrong.
First, thanks to everyone associated with the Corps and the Hall of Fame Committee for putting this event together. I am incredibly honored to share this with colleagues, friends, and former students as well. Condensing 40 years of thank yous to a few minutes is going to be tough, but I'm gonna try and do that. I do have a few questions first for some folks. Jim Clark, what the hell were you thinking? You listened to some 17-year-old kid playing a cheater mouthpiece and a 90-mile-an-hour vibrato, and you thought, oh, yeah, he'll be fine. No, he'll be fine. Freddie, matter of fact, let's put him on lead.
It wasn't me.
Oh. Brad Caraway, John Armstrong. You looked at that same kid at that first audition and thought, yeah, his feet are fine. We just got to fix his posture.
That was Jim.
Oh, that was Jim? Really? Yeah. I brought Lamson along the next year to try to make up for that. Freddie, we all know you had a good aim with a flip-flop, but I want to know who the track coach was that taught you how to run in those things. 1983 in Miami, it was raining and storming one afternoon. We were in the Horn Arc. Started lightning outside, and several of us reached for our stuff to get ready to go inside. He informed us we weren't a bunch of pansies. We were going to stay out and finish our work. I'll let you know when it's time to go in. He might have even uttered, Mike, that famous phrase from 83. You want Madison or you want mayonnaise? I don't remember for sure. At any rate, a couple moments later, a bolt of lightning hit somewhere pretty close behind the horns. We saw the flash and heard the crack at the same time. We all obviously jumped and turned around to look. And by the time we turned back around, all we saw of Freddie Martin was elbows, his butt, and the bottom of his flip-flops. He beat Mike Elam back to the gym. He beat Mike Sessoms back to the gym. He beat me back to he beat Mark Hoskins back to the gym. So I still need to know who your track coach was. I'm not sure who that was. On a serious note, to all of you guys that taught us in the 80s, there's nothing I can say or anybody else can say to thank you enough. There were multiple future Hall of Famers, Spirit of Atlanta, DCI, WGI, and others, teaching a 5-year-old drum corps competing as one of the elite in the activity. And we just took it for granted. That's what was supposed to happen. We showed up at rehearsal and these people were there. 4 decades later, I'm still teaching to try to give back some of what you guys gave to all of us, so thank you. To all of the true heroes, and there's quite a few of you out here right now, the volunteers that got us down the road. Didn't matter if you were cooking, driving a bus, a truck, selling sous vide, selling flags, uniforms, or drawing up a tour Bible, Mike, wherever you are. You gave us a chance to live up to our potential, so thank you. To all of you who marched with me, and there's a lot of you out here tonight, thank you for being here. You challenged me on my worst days, and you celebrated with me on our good days. You made me a better performer and a better human, so thank you. To all you guys who have marched for me over the years, especially the guys who marched early on when I started teaching, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean all those horrible things that I said. I'm sure.
We forgive you.
Okay, thank you. That's a need for forgiveness. I am a better teacher today, I promise, and I'd like to think a better human. But no matter when you marched, whether you marched in the good and what people think of as the good years or the rough years, this organization is still here because of you and your work ethic. So thank you. To all the staff people that I've taught with over the years, whether you were one of those who took that hot-headed, foul-mouthed 21-year-old age out with more ego than talent and mentored him and helped him find his way, or some of my newest and closest friends that I met when I came back home this past year. Thank you to each of you for the part that you've played in that journey. To my children, who spent way more time without their own man than they should have, I appreciate your patience and your forgiveness for all the bad decisions I made. And you probably turned out a whole lot better to have spent more time with your mom than me. Mom and I are thrilled that you guys have gone on to enjoy the activity that brought us together. And we're quite proud that each of you has decided to give back through teaching and the volunteer work you're doing. I love you. Thank you. Brenda, I have no idea what possessed you to let your daughter audition for a drum corps 17 hours away, and then have you drive her back and forth for years. But I'm thankful you did. So thank you. We love you. Freddie, Linda, I don't even know where to start. You guys have been friends and mentors for Ginger and I for decades. Lots of folks tell you that this organization changed things for the better for them. This organization truly gave me the life that I've lived. I wasn't planning on majoring in music, but my time here changed that. I hadn't even considered Jacksonville State University, but the friends that I met when I marched here changed that. You created and staffed a drum corps with people that made that cute little redhead from Texas want to come here and march. Literally everything about my life changed because of my association with this drum corps. I was very fortunate to have my biological dad with me for many years, but Freddie, you and Dr. Walters both were like second fathers to me and so many others that are sitting in this room tonight. You've been Grandpa Freddie to our kids when they were around the band and the drum corps. And 4 decades later, even recently, this past week, when we teach together, I still get to learn something new. So thank you to both you and Linda for all that you've meant to Ginger and I. We love you both dearly. Finally, 1985, a winter camp right here at JSU. My buddy Mike Elam nudged me in the ribs, looked over and said, "Check out that little cutie over there in the guard. She's gonna be a game changer for somebody." Y'all didn't know Elam was a prophet, did you? Many thanks to Steve Sorrell for the introduction that changed our two lives, and to Ken Lamson, who's here tonight, because he never complained about adding another person to our adventures all those years ago. Let me be succinct. Every good thing that has happened in my life since 1985, you can draw a pretty straight line to Ginger. All the negative things and the bad decisions, you can draw a straight line to her standing there with that picture, that look on her face Mike documented all those years ago going, "I wouldn't do that." She's always had my back. She's responsible for making it possible for me to have done everything that I've done for the drum corps. What so many people don't know are the things that she has done behind the scenes. Caitlin mentioned, I've watched her talk kids back into marching, showing them the positive when all they could focus on was the negative. I've watched her mentor young staff people when they were making some poor decisions about how they taught. I've watched her organize meals and donations for meals when the Corps wasn't feeding the members the way we expect them to be now. Paul mentioned some things a few minutes ago that became a problem. I've watched her have conversations with people others are afraid to have, and say some things that others were afraid to say, no matter what the cost to her was personally, because it was the right thing to do for kids. When Freddie wanted me to go on the road in 1991, she never asked me to make a choice. She loaded up an 11-month-old baby, put her in a car seat, and hopped in a Suvi van. She went on the road selling Suvis every night, helping individuals in the guard later in the day when Caitlin was napping, and stayed up at night helping drive that Suvi van so that she could spend a few moments with her vagabond husband. When I returned to the Corps after a few years off, when our twins were born, and the director tried to fold the Corps in June, she jumped knee-deep into the middle of another salvage job with Steve and a whole bunch of others in the midst of raising 4 kids, pretty much by herself. In 2001, she planned to go on the road, and she found out Jason Lowe had been diagnosed with cancer, and his mother was no longer in the picture. So she stayed home and helped his dad and his sister take care of him until literally the day before he passed away. And when a group of us that had been teaching together in another place decided to leave, I had a couple of options of where to go teach. Michael and Freddie were pressing me pretty hard to come back here, but I had some other options to go teach with some dear friends. I sat down one night and talked to Ginger. She looked at me and said, "Look, if you're going to teach again, I can't imagine you not coming home." That made that decision easy. She is literally a Hall of Fame guard instructor and director, but she's been a Hall of Fame mom, a Hall of Fame wife, and she'll always be for me a Hall of Fame alumni and supporter of this drum corps. I'm going to ask you to help me thank her for everything she's done for me and this organization. Ms. Jennifer.